half an hour. He was all together probably about 45 minutes he used the phone.
Okay. And then after that time, what happened?
TL stopped by too.
Okay. And how long after the, you said all told, approximately 45 minutes using the phone?
Yes.
And then what happened from there? Did you see, did he stay there at your home or did he?
He stayed for a few minutes longer, and then him and TL talked, and they both took their cars and took off.
Okay. Now, prior to Bo or Fish taking off, did he indicate to you an intention to travel somewhere?
Yeah, he said he was going back to Jersey to work with his uncle.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, sir?
He went back to New Jersey to work with his uncle. That's what he said to me. He's going back to Jersey to work with his uncle.
Now, at that time, what was your phone number?
860-940-4106.
Now, as a result of, or at some point thereafter, were you contacted by somebody from the police?
Yes.
And at that time, how long after, if you recall?
I'd say a month.
And at that time, did they speak to you?
Yes.
I could have one moment, Your Honor, please. Did you see Bo or Fish after that?
After what part?
After he left, saying he was heading to New Jersey?
No, I haven't.
Me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you referred to Bo as by the nickname of Crash.
Yes, sir.
Is that a nickname that you created for
Yes, I did.
Bo?
Yes, I did.
And is that because he was regularly crashing cars and motorcycles?
Yeah, you got that right.
Automobile accidents?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And so you and others in the Bristol community called him Crash from time to time?
I'm objecting.
All right.
No. Okay.
Can I go?
You may.
Yeah, we call him Crash. We always call him Bo or Fish, though.
Bo, some people call him Bo.
Yeah,
Some people call him Fish.
I always call him Crash.
You always called him Crash.
Yeah.
Now, you pointed out Mr. Hernandez, right?
Yes.
This gentleman here.
Yes.
And I think you said that you've met him a couple of times.
Yes, sir.
So one time was over when Tanya and T.O. got married. Is that right?
That was at their Jack and Jill, sir.
A party for them?
Yes.
Okay. And where was that?
That was American Legions in Bristol on Riverside Avenue.
All right. And then there was another time that you met Mr. Hernandez at a Christmas party.
Christmas Eve.
I'm sorry?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve party?
Yes.
At the house on Lake Avenue?
Yes.
And other than those two times, you've never met Mr. Hernandez?
I've met him once before that, I think.
One other time?
I think so.
The most recent time before June of 2013 was at the Christmas Eve party?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, you shared a marijuana cigarette with him?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and I think you said that Crash was at that party?
Yes.
And TL and Tanya and a bunch of other people?
Correct.
And that was true at the Jack and Jill party that was at
Correct.
the American Legion Hall?
Correct. Correct.
And there was a fairly large group of people at both parties?
Yes, sir.
And these were people that you've known over the years?
Yes, sir.
Some more than others?
Yes, sir.
I think you said you had known Mr. TL for 5 or 6 years?
Probably even more than that. I can't
Probably
keep
more than
track.
that?
Can't
Maybe
remember.
10 or 12 years?
About 8 to 10.
Okay. And you had known Bo for 5 or 6, 4 or 5 years?
Yes, right, correct.
And what you said that Bo dropped in on you sometime in mid-June, right?
Right,
And he was driving a Chrysler.
yeah.
And it was unannounced.
Yeah, he never
So,
calls.
He
Him
never
and-
calls, is that what you just
Him
said?
and TL always stop by and never call. They would just pop in and say, hello, Pops, what's happening? How you doing, Mom? Because you called my wife Mom.
And so they would come and sit a spell and visit or watch a football game or have a bite to eat.
Yes,
And there were times when TL would actually stay over at your
yes,
house.
correct.
And for some period of time, he actually lived there for a few days.
Yes, he did.
And sometimes Bo would crash there.
Yeah,
Okay. And you had a number of phone calls in this period of time, June 18, June 19, with Bo. Is that right?
I didn't have it.
Well, do you remember he called your number and spoke to you or your wife?
Yeah,
Number
my
time?
wife told me, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And do you remember that he called looking for drugs?
He always did.
He was always looking for drugs.
Yeah, well, not drugs, you know, pills.
He was looking for, sometimes for weed,
No, I don't have nothing to do with that, man, no way.
Percocets,
Yeah.
angel dust.
No, 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 no.
You ever seen Mr. Bo or Crash using angel dust?
No,
Did you know him to use angel dust?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay. You've heard that he's a
I'm going to object,
heavy
Your
user
Honor.
of that?
Sustained.
Object.
All right.
Move to strike.
Motion to strike tonight.
That's all. Thank you very much.
Sir, who called him Crash?
I did.
Okay. Beyond yourself?
A few other people.
Okay. Is that a nickname you made up?
Yes.
If I could approach you. I'm just going to show you just a couple questions about the Chrysler. Showing 129A. Recognize this style of vehicle?
Yes, it was. Looks just like the one that was at the house.
I'm just going to show you this one, 129B. That you recognize this style of vehicle?
Yeah, it's almost the same one. I never check people's cars out, you know?
How long, strike that. That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You may sit down.
I'm going to call the next witness, Elizabeth Cornwall, please.
Right this way, man. Just follow me. Face the clerk and raise your right hand.
Do solemnly swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I will.
Please be seated.
Have a seat.
May I, Your Honor?
You may.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I'm just going to ask you to keep your voice up so we all can hear you.
Okay.
Could you state your full name, please?
Elizabeth Gorno,
And can you spell your last name, please?
Gorneault,
Ma'am, where do you live?
in Bristol, Connecticut.
How long have you lived in Bristol?
About 8 years.
And are you married?
Yes.
And married to?
Dave Gorno.
Now, taking you back to the year 2013, did you know an individual by the name of Bo or Fish?
Yes.
And Did you know that person's full name?
Not at the time, no.
Okay. Have you since learned his name? And who do you know him to be? Or what, the nickname that you knew as Bo or Fish,
Crash.
who is that person?
We called him Crash.
Okay. May I approach you? And I'm just going to show you a photograph previously marked as exhibit number 20. You recognize this just to your left, ma'am? You recognize him?
Yes.
Who do you recognize that to be?
As a Crash or Bo.
Did you also know him to be called Fish?
Yeah, we didn't call him that, but
Do you know who called him that?
TL Singleton.
Okay. And T.L. Singleton, were you friendly or did you know him?
Yes.
And do you know where he lived? T.L.
Yes.
Where did he live?
With his wife, Tanya.
Okay. And do you know where they lived?
Yes.
Where was that?
On Lake Avenue.
Is that also in Bristol, Connecticut?
Yes, it is.
Now, just directing your attention to the middle of June, sometime mid-June of 2013, did you learn of a homicide that had occurred in North Attleboro, Massachusetts?
Yes.
And just using that, the time that you first learned as a reference point, within a few days of that time, did somebody come to your home?
Yes.
And who is that?
Crash.
Okay. And is that the individual you've described as being referred to as Bo or Fish?
Yes.
Now, when he arrived at your home, had he come to your home in the past?
Yes.
And did he come into the home?
Yes.
And just tell us, after he came into the home, what did he do?
He just came to visit.
Okay. When you say he came to visit, how long ultimately did he stay to visit?
Maybe half hour.
And during that time, can you just describe his demeanor? How was he, how did he appear?
He was okay.
Okay. Did, in terms of conversation, did you have much conversation with him?
Yeah, some.
Compared to, well, let me ask you this. At some point in the past when he came over, just describe how he was.
He was always happy. Are you talking about before or after we found out about the...
Well, just before. On the prior occasion when he came over, just describe how he
He
would
was
appear.
always happy and go-lucky.
Okay. And on this occasion, how did he appear?
He wasn't his usual self.
And what do you mean by that?
Just quiet. He would talk, but he just seemed kind of quiet.
And at some point after he arrived, did he ask to borrow something?
He borrowed our phone.
Now, did you know him in the past to have his own phone?
Yeah.
And when you said he asked to borrow our phone, did you or David provide a phone to him?
Yes.
And what happened after that? Did you see where he went?
He went outside to talk on the phone.
And do you know how long he was outside?
Maybe 15, 20 minutes. I'm not sure how long.
And after that, at some point, did he then return to the home? Come inside?
Yes.
And did he give you the phone back?
Yes.
And then what happened after that?
He stayed for a few minutes, then he left.
And when he left, did he express an intention of going someplace?
He said he was going to be leaving to go back to New Jersey to work with his uncle.
Okay. And did you see him after that date?
No.
Ma'am, did you see how he arrived at your home in terms of how he traveled to your home?
He had a silver Chrysler 300.
Thank you, I have nothing else.
Morning.
Morning.
You described him by the nickname Crash. Can you tell us how that nickname came about?
Well, he T.L. Singleton. He crashed T.L.'s bike and a car, so we called him Crash.
And you said that he came over and visited for a while. Is that right?
Yes.
Was he by himself?
Yes.
And at some point in the conversation, he asked to use your phone, and you allowed him to do that?
Yes.
Now, do you recall that at about this time he had called you or Dave? Your husband is named Dave?
Yes.
He had called you or Dave several times looking for drugs?
I don't recall that, no.
You recall him calling several times?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall that on occasion he would ask if you knew where he could obtain some drugs?
Yeah, he was looking for pills, yes.
Percocets?
Yes.
There were times when he would trade cocaine for Percocets?
Not with us, no.
You were aware that he had done that?
I don't know what he did.
And you said that he used your phone, and he had called you several times around this time. Is that right?
I'm not sure exactly what day he called.
Well, I understand it's a long time ago, but he did call you several times.
Yeah,
And you talked to him.
yeah, I didn't, yes.
I'm sorry?
I didn't talk to him.
David talked to him?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to object unless she has knowledge of.
I don't remember when he called or what we talked. He came to visit a couple times, that's all I know.
Okay. You remember that he called, though?
I'm going to object.
Well, if you heard, if you picked up the phone and heard his voice, you can answer, but not what someone else may have told you that who they were talking to.
Do you know?
I didn't talk to him, no, on the phone.
Okay. Now, did you have his phone number in your phone?
At one
Stored in your
time.
phone?
At one time, yes.
And it was under the name Crash?
Yes.
And you remember being contacted by the police?
Yes.
And by the time, that was sometime after this, right?
Yes.
And by the time the police contacted you, you had heard that Bo had turned himself in and been arrested,
Objection,
correct?
Your Honor.
Overrule.
Do you remember hearing in the media that Bo was arrested or Crash was arrested?
Yes.
And
This is
isn't
not
it
coming
the
in
case-
for the truth of it, what may have been in the media, but for this witness's state of mind, to the extent you may find that relevant.
So knowing that Crash had been arrested, did you do something with your phone?
No.
Did you delete his contact information on your phone?
Yes, that was earlier.
You
Before.
deleted it after you heard that he was arrested.
I think I did that before he was.
You think you deleted it before he was arrested?
Right.
Uh-huh. Not afterwards.
No, I think I did it before.
Do you remember being interviewed by the police?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember telling them that you deleted it because you didn't want to get involved in this?
Right, I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't know anything, so...
So you
I
did
was-
delete it because you
Yes.
didn't want to get involved in this?
Right.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
was scared.
No further questions. Thank you, ma'am.
You may step down.
What's that?
You may step down.
If I could call Irene Singleton, please.
Irene Singleton.
Just follow me, please. Face the clerk and raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Have a seat, ma'am.
Okay, just push it a little bit.
There you are. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Could you state your full name, please?
Irene Tucker Singleton.
Could you spell your last name for us?
Singleton.
And where do you live?
I live in Bristol, Connecticut.
And how long have you lived there?
68 years, a long time.
Okay. And did you raise a family in Bristol?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
I have 4. I had 5.
Okay.
1 deceased.
Okay. And do you know T.L. Singleton?
Do I know? Yes.
And was that one of your grandchildren?
He was my grandson. He's deceased.
Okay. And how long ago did he die?
He died June 30th, 2012.
Okay. And prior to his death, was he married?
Yes.
Who was he married to?
He was married to Tanya.
And Tanya, do you know what her name was before she married T.L.?
Her name is Tanya Valderrama Cummins.
Okay. And do you know, after they married, did they live together in Bristol?
Yes.
And what address did they live at?
On Lake Avenue. I think it's 114 or thereabouts on Lake Avenue in Bristol.
Okay. And did they have any children?
They have 2 children. They have Edward, who is T.L.'s biological, and Jono, who is T.L.'s child, who's Tanya's with her first husband.
Okay. Now, did T.L., when he was alive, frequently visit with you?
Yes.
And would that be at your home?
Yes.
And as a result of that, did you meet any of his friends?
Yes.
Did you know an individual by the name of the nickname of Bo?
Yes.
And how did you know Bo?
He was a friend of T.L.'s, and that's how I met him.
Okay. How frequently would you see him at your home or with T.L.?
Often, but I couldn't tell you how frequently because they were in and out.
Okay. Now, just directing your attention back to June of 2013, do you recall in about the middle of June, so sometime after, say, the 17th of June, of learning that there had been a homicide in North Attleboro, Massachusetts?
Yes, I saw it on television.
Okay. And within, just using that as a reference point, within a few days of seeing that on television, did you have an occasion to see Bo? Did he come to your home?
Yes.
And when he came to your home, how long after, if you recall?
I don't know, several days after, within that week, I don't know.
Okay. And do you recall, when you say within that week, do you recall whether it was within a few days of that?
It was before the weekend.
Okay. Now, when you saw Bo after you had learned about this, during that week, was he with anybody?
Yes.
Okay. And who was he with?
He was with a kid named Artis. That's who he came with, I think.
Okay. And when I had asked you earlier about that you knew Bo, did you know him by any other nickname?
I never knew his real name until I saw it a few years earlier. I never knew he was Wallace. I never knew his name.
Okay, so you knew him as Bo.
Always. I was introduced to him as Bo.
And did you know him by any other nickname?
No.
Okay. Did you ever hear T.L. refer to him by a different nickname?
Yes.
And what was that?
T.L. called him Fish.
Okay. And on this occasion, within the week after, during that week after you had learned about the homicide in North Attleboro, approximately what time of day or night did they come to your home?
Repeat, please.
Sure. When you next saw, after you had learned about the homicide, and the next occasion you saw Bo, you said he was with somebody?
Yes,
And that person, had you ever seen that person before?
yes,
And did you recognize him, or did you know him by a name?
yes.
And what name did you know him by?
Charlie.
Okay. And when they came to your home, approximately what time of day did they come to your home?
I don't know what time hourly. It was in the early afternoon or late morning.
Okay. And where were you, excuse me, when they came to your home?
I was either in my house or out on my deck in the back.
Okay. And when you saw them, when did you first actually see them? Where were you, I guess, when is what I'm asking.
I think I might have been on my back when I first saw them.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
And when you saw them, did you have a conversation with them?
Not really a conversation. I said hi. They said hi. Hello. And they asked me where TL was, and that was about the gist of it when I first saw them.
Okay. And where was TL at that time? Was he at your home?
Yes.
And so after you said hello, did you see them go somewhere?
Well, they asked me where he was. I told them he was downstairs. They went down to the rec room.
Okay. Now, after they went down to the rec room, did you then see them after that?
Yes.
How long after that?
I don't know. I don't know how long. I really wasn't paying a lot of attention to time, but they came out into the back, went down onto the backyard, maybe 45 minutes, an hour, I don't know.
Okay. And where your porch is, do you have a view of the backyard?
Yes.
And when you next saw them, just tell us, where were they?
They were on the backyard.
Okay. And were you able to see them from your position?
Yes.
And when you say they were in the backyard, who was there at that time?
There was Bo, Charlie, Tanya.
Okay. And had you seen Tanya before at your house?
Before that day?
I'm sorry. Before Bo and Charlie arrived, had you seen Tanya at your home?
Well, when she came in, she spoke to me. Yes.
Okay, so did she come before or after?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And so when you said you saw those three, Tanya, Bo, and Charlie in the backyard, just describe what you saw them doing.
Well, they were talking to each other. I don't know what they were talking about. I couldn't hear what they were talking about, but they were talking to each other and kind of like quietly to each other. They weren't involving anyone else in their conversation.
Okay. And when you say they were talking quietly, just describe their behavior at that time.
Well, they were nervous. They appeared nervous. It wasn't normally, because they never separate themselves when they came to my house, because our house is family house and their family, and so we just always communicate with one another when they came. But this day they were nervous.
Okay. And when you say they were nervous, just what did you see them doing out there, the three of them together?
Well, they were like talking, but they were like moving a lot. I'm not a psychiatrist, but they were moving a lot, and they appeared to be nervous. And then TL joined them in the back.
Okay. How long after you saw the three of them together did you see TL join them?
Oh, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, or thereabouts.
Okay. And how long did he remain with them?
Not very long, because he went back in, then they all went in, then they all came back out. It was like, and not long.
Okay. When you saw the three of them together, well, let me ask you this. When you said they went in and then they came out, who came out the second time?
Tanya, Bo, and Carlos.
Okay. And Carlos, is that also the person
Charlie.
you know as Charlie? And when they came out the second time, just describe how they were acting at that point.
Well, they were still walking around, and but like in close proximity to each other, so that and they were still talking to each other. I didn't know if it was because their friends was in trouble. I didn't know, why they were talking or what they were talking about, but they weren't normally that secretive about what they were saying, because I couldn't hear what they were saying. And from where they were on my back porch, where I was, if they were talking in a normal tone, I would have been able to hear, but I don't know what they were talking about because I couldn't hear their conversation.
Okay. How long did they remain talking in...
Not very long, because I asked TL, because in view of all the things that were going
You
on.
answered the question, not very long.
Yes. Okay.
Just, ma'am, based on what you were observing, did you have a conversation with your grandson, TL?
Not really a conversation, a statement.
Okay, did you make a statement to him?
I just asked him
Well,
that.
the question is simply, did you
Yes.
say something?
Did I say something? Yes.
And did you tell him to do something?
Yes.
And what was that?
To ask them to leave,
Okay. And what caused you to ask them to leave?
because they were nervous and acting strangely.
Okay. And did you then see TL have a conversation with Tanya, Bo, and Charlie?
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't think so. Right
After
now.
you had told TL to ask them to leave, did they leave?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see them after that?
Did I see who?
Did you see any of either Bo, Charlie,
Yes.
or Tanya after that?
Yes.
When is the next time that you saw them after that, or any one of them?
I'm not sure. It wasn't. I'm not sure if it was that day or the next.
Okay. How long in total would you say they were at your home?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how long they were totally there.
Okay. Do you think it was more or less than an hour from when you first saw?
Probably more.
I'm sorry?
More.
More, okay. And do you think it was more than 2 hours?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, do you have a daughter, Una?
Yes.
And was she living at the home with you at that time?
Yes.
And does she, do you have grandchildren who live in Georgia?
Yes.
Actually, does Una have a daughter who lives in Georgia?
Yes.
And she has children?
Yes.
Now, after this occasion where you saw Tanya, Bo, and Charlie in the backyard, as you've described, do you know if your daughter went somewhere after that, shortly after this date?
Oh, sometime later.
Okay. When you say sometime later, do you recall how much time after when you made these observations in your backyard?
Not shortly. It was evening.
I'm sorry?
Evening.
In the evening? When did Una go somewhere for some period of time?
Yes.
Okay. And when I've said shortly after this, you're indicating the evening?
On that day, I'm not sure which day. Yes, it was evening when she left home.
Okay. And do you know who she left with?
Objection based on knowledge.
If you saw.
If you saw.
I'm sorry?
If you actually saw, not what you
If I
made.
actually saw
Anybody,
leave.
her leave?
Yes.
Okay. So that evening, did you see Una leave?
Yes.
And who did she leave with?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so you didn't see who
I
was...
did not see who she left with.
That's fine. And at some point, after some number of days, did you receive a phone call from a number that you recognized by caller ID?
Yes.
Okay. And this would be your granddaughter. Do you have a granddaughter named Juanita?
Yes.
And where does she live?
She lives in Georgia.
And what relation is she to Una?
She's her daughter.
Okay. Did you receive a phone call within a few days of Una leaving where you recognized the caller ID as Juanita's?
Yes.
Okay. How long after the date that you saw these Tanya, Bo, and Charlie in the backyard, did you receive that phone call?
A few days, I'm not sure.
Okay. And during that time, when that phone call came in, the caller ID being Julieta's number, did you have a conversation with somebody?
Yes.
And who is that? When you answered the phone, whose voice did you hear?
Repeat that again.
Sure, I'm sorry. So within a few days of seeing Bo, Tanya, and Charlie in your backyard, you've received a phone call from a caller ID number you recognize as Julieta's.
Yes.
And you answered that call,
Yes.
and did you have a conversation with somebody?
Yes.
Did you recognize the voice of that person?
Yes.
And who was that?
Tanya.
Now, Julieta lives in where in Georgia?
Roberta.
And after that conversation, do you recall the next occasion you saw Tanya?
Some days later after that.
Okay. And was that back in the Bristol, Connecticut area?
Yes, was at her home.
Now, I could approach. You know, if I could use the open please. And ma'am, I'm just going to have you direct your attention to the monitor to your left. I'm showing you what's been marked now, Exhibit 20. Do you recognize the person depicted in this photograph?
Yes.
Who do you recognize that to be?
Bo.
Now placing on the overhead exhibit number 23, do you recognize the person depicted here?
It doesn't look like Tanya. It's similar, but it doesn't, I don't know.
Do you recognize her, ma'am?
I think it's supposed to be Tanya, but it doesn't look like her.
Okay. And lastly, I'm going to show you what's been marked as 143. Do you recognize this individual, ma'am?
Yes.
Who do you recognize this to be?
It's Charlie.
Now, ma'am, do you, Tanya, who was married to TL, well, let me ask you this way first. Have you ever met an individual by the name of Aaron Hernandez?
Yes.
And just for the purposes of the record, do you see him in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you just point him out and describe what he's wearing?
He has on a dark suit jacket and a light colored shirt with a tie.
Okay. Your Honor, if the record can reflect the witness identifying the defendant. Now, on how many occasions did you meet him?
Several, not many.
Okay. And where, did you ever meet him at 114 Lake Avenue?
I didn't meet him there, but I saw him there, yes.
I beg your pardon. Do you recall the first occasion you met him?
No, I really don't remember the first time I met him.
Okay. But did you ever see him, or how many occasions did you see him at 114 Lake Avenue?
A few times, not often.
And do you know what, if any, relationship he had with Tanya Singleton?
He's her cousin.
Okay. And with regard to Bo, do you know where he lived?
To the best of my knowledge, no certain address. I have no idea.
When, on the occasions that you were at 114 Lake Avenue, did you ever see Bo there?
Maybe once or twice.
can have one moment, Robert. Ma'am, just to clarify, TL, the date of his death was in 2013, not 2012. The date of TL's death.
Yes.
Okay. And Drew Alita's, actually, if I could just have one moment. So, just for the, in terms of the time, when you had learned about the homicide in North Attleboro, TL was alive at that time, is that true?
Yes.
And approximately within 10 days or so is when he had a motor vehicle accident that caused his death.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further, Ron.
Good morning, Mrs. Singleton.
Good morning.
Is it true that you are an ordained minister?
Yes.
And did you officiate at the wedding ceremony of Tanya and TL?
Yes.
And is it true that you try to give spiritual guidance to various family members?
Objection.
Oral.
Yes.
Yes.
When asked.
Now, on this day in mid-June, when you said Bo and Charlie Boy, do you know who I mean when I say Charlie Boy?
Yes, I've heard that.
That's this Carlos Ortiz or Charlie that you're referring to?
Yes.
Is that right? On the day, this was a little while after there were newspaper stories about this homicide in Massachusetts. Is that right?
Yes.
When they came over to your house and they were acting in the manner you described?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you said that Bo and Charlie Boy seemed nervous, is that right?
Yes.
And they were kind of huddled off by themselves?
Yes.
And would it be fair to say that they were acting, behaving in a crazy manner?
It was different than usual. Possibly.
Different?
Yeah.
And would you describe Carlos Ortiz as acting jittery?
Yes.
Now, you had seen Ortiz on a number of occasions prior to this, is that right?
Not a lot, a few times.
A few times. And this was in 2013, right? The
Yes.
times you'd seen him?
Yes.
And is it true that he was high as a kite every time you saw him?
Well, I couldn't say that, but he may have been.
I'm
Did it
objecting.
appear to
We'll
you
strike
that he
Your
was?
Honor. Excuse me, I'm objecting.
He may have been is what it's tricking.
Thank you.
Did it appear to you that he was high?
He was, I didn't know him well enough to determine that.
Do you recall telling the police that he appeared to be high when
Yes, I do.
every time you saw him?
I don't know about every time, but yes, he did appear to have been under some type of, yes,
Okay. Some type of drugs?
something.
Okay. And that was true on this day in June when they were in your backyard acting in this unusual manner?
Yes.
And would you also say that they were acting suspiciously?
I would think so, yes,
And as a result of that, you went to TL, is that right?
yes,
And you asked TL to have Carlos and Bo leave, is
Yes.
that right?
yes,
And they did so shortly thereafter.
yes,
Now, you pointed out Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Correct. You've met him on a number of occasions.
yes, several.
And would you describe the interaction you've had with him in the past?
It's been cordial and he's been respectful.
And he wasn't there on the day that you described Charlie Boy and Bo as acting in this manner.
No,
correct?
he was not.
That's all. Thank you.
Ma'am, when you indicated Mr. Ortiz or Charlie Boy appeared to be jittery and nervous
Yes,
and acting suspiciously, I think
Yes,
And what about Bo?
they were together and was similar behavior.
Okay, so Bo was jittery?
Similar, yeah. Well, I
Nervous?
don't know about jittery, he was different. He wasn't jittery, but he was not normal, his usual
Okay. And so nervous
nervous,
and
yes.
acting suspiciously?
Yes.
Okay. And when you indicated that, have you ever seen Bo under the influence?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And have you, when you say not to your knowledge, have you ever seen him acting in a way that made you think he was?
No.
And the time, how many occasions have you actually met Charlie or Charlie Boy?
About three,
3 occasions.
about 3 or 4, I don't know him.
Was this the last occasion you saw him?
Would have accounted for one of the 3 or 4 times.
Okay. Just in terms of the order, did you see him after this date that you asked him and, or you asked TL to ask?
No, I did not.
Okay, and that evening, do you recall, after you saw Una leave, did you see Bo again?
Not after she left.
Okay. Can you just describe what you mean by jittery?
Kind of like I am now, you know.
Nervous?
Nervous, I mean,
Anxious?
some kind of, you know, kind of jittery, kind of not settled, not able to think or answer, kind of, yeah, kind of just like me.
Okay, well, you seem to be answering just
I'm gonna
fine.
strike.
I'm sorry, Judge.
So, to the extent that when you saw him jittery, was he wasn't acting in any way like he was, I think the question...
Question leading, Your Honor.
Objection sustained. I'll remind you again not to ask leading questions.
So can you further describe the manner in which he was acting on that
The
date?
way, the manner,
Just in terms of your observations of him.
well, he was, he was moving around a lot. He was wringing his hands, and just kind of down in the face, you know. And so, yeah, so he appeared depressed and nervous.
And how about Bo? How would you describe him? You said similar behavior. Can you elaborate?
He was quiet, which is not, he usually talks with me when he comes, and he didn't. So he was estranged from me, you know, and not acting like because he always acted like he was at home, and he wasn't comfortable.
Did you see him moving around at all?
Only on the outside of the house,
And what was he doing?
just walking around. But they were talking and walking together, you know.
Did you see anybody pacing?
Well, I wouldn't call it pacing, no. They were moving as they talked,
Okay.
and, you know.
And when you say moving as they talk, can you just describe, were they moving
Yeah.
together or individually?
They were not synchronized, but they were like walking around, you know, and they were talking and walking around in a smaller area of the yard. You know, they were like confined, but they were just moving around as they talked.
Okay, so when you saw them talking, and then you said then they would begin walking, were they breaking off or were they then moving as a group?
I wouldn't be able to define that as a, you know, I couldn't describe it as being in a breaking off or whatever. They were just walking and talking together in the yard, you know. Walk here, talk, walk back, you know, and talk. But they were closer together, and they weren't like yelling across the yard at each other or whatever.
And the tone of their voices, were you able to hear anything about what they were saying?
No, I was not.
That's all I have. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Singleton, did you tell the police that Wallace or Bo and Carlos or Charlie Boy were behaving in an unusual and crazy manner when they visited you?
Well, I may have said crazy, but it was unusual for sure.
Did you tell them that?
I may
it
have
was-
said that.
Yeah, Your Honor.
May.
I don't usually use the word crazy, but I may have said it.
You'll be shown some document to see if that helps you refresh your recollection.
So, let me just direct your attention to the sentence that I bracketed in the purple ink, and read that to yourself if you would.
No, I would say that. I did say that.
You did say that to the police that they were acting in an unusual and crazy manner.
Yes, I did.
And you also told the police that Carlos was acting, was jittery when he was
Yes.
there, correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
May I have one question, just as a follow-up? Can you define what you meant by crazy?
He was, for me, because I usually don't use the word crazy, hardly ever, but in as much as I did, it would mean that he wasn't acting rational, meaning that he was, I don't know, on that day he was asking, he was asking
Objections
questions.
to what he was saying.
Ma'am, I understand.
He was asking.
The objection sustained is what he was saying.
Your Honor.
I would just ask you, I think the statement that you were asked about said they were acting crazy. Is that, have you I'm sorry, have you just appropriately described to this jury how they were acting that day?
Well, I'm going to strike that reference to appropriately describe.
Is there anything else?
She has testified that it meant not being rational. If there's anything else you want to add to your definition of you may.
As being rational, it's rational to me is to act the way you normally do when you're in my home.
Thank you.
And they were not acting normal.
Okay. So, and you said that they were...
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
Could I be heard at Sidewalk?
Yes, you'd indicated you had one question when you spoke, that you wanted her to define the word crazy as used, which is why I'm sustaining the objection. If you believe.
Okay. May the witness just describe, she said they were acting crazy. Did you say that to the police about both Bo and Charlie?
Objection.
I may have.
Okay.
Overall.
Thank you. I have nothing else.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, our next witness will be Una Richin, please.
Your Honor, can we conduct sidewalk vote?
Okay. Raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. Have a seat now.
May I have your Honor?
You may.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Could you state your full name, please?
Una Irene Singleton. Rashawn.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you, keep your voice up so we all can
Okay.
hear you. Could you spell your first name
EUNA.
and your last name?
RITCHON.
Ma'am, where are you from?
From Bristol, Connecticut.
Did you grow up there?
Yes.
And is Irene Singleton your mother?
Yes, yes.
I want to direct your attention back to June of 2013. At that time, were you living with your mother?
Yes.
And do you recall an occasion, well, let me ask you this first. Do you know an individual by the name of Bo?
Yes.
And how did you know Bo?
Through my nephew.
And your nephew, what is his name?
Daddy. Tia.
Okay.
Thaddeus.
And TL was married?
To Tanya.
And how frequently, back in June of 2013, would you see TL and Bo?
Oh, all the time.
Okay. Were they friendly?
Yes.
Now, just directing your attention to the date of June 21st of 2013, do you recall on that date being at your home and seeing Bo and Tanya?
Yes.
And approximately sometime 4 o'clock in the afternoon, were you in an area of the home referred to as the rec room?
Yes.
And did you, at that time, did they have a conversation with you?
Yes.
Now, you have children of your own, ma'am?
Yes.
Do you have a daughter who lives in Georgia?
Yes.
What is her name?
Julie to Martin.
And does she have children?
She has 7.
And as a result of her having 7 children, do you frequently go down to visit and to assist
Yes.
her with the children? Now, back in June of 2013, did you have a plan to travel to her home in Georgia?
Yes, I did.
And at that time, prior to June 21st, did you have a set date that you were going to travel?
No.
On that date, did your plan change?
Yes.
Okay, and what caused your plan to change?
They were,
Objection to conversation.
Objection is sustained by, to anything that was said to you.
Well, at some point, did you have a conversation with somebody?
yes,
And who did you have a conversation with?
with Bo and Tanya.
Okay. And did they ask you to do something?
Yes.
And what did they ask you to do?
Objection.
Sustained.
Well, as a result of them asking you to do something, did you then do it?
Yes.
And so did that change your plan?
But it changed the timing of my plan, yes.
Okay. And as a result of your conversation with Tanya and Bo, how did the timing of your plan change?
It made it go faster.
Okay. When you say go faster, did you then do something on that date, or how long after the conversation did you begin to do something?
Right soon after.
Okay. And when you say right soon after.
Like that day, I continued to.
Okay. So after your conversation with Bo and Tanya,
Yes.
did you then do something with your car?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I went and got an oil change.
Okay. And then after getting an oil change, did you go somewhere?
I got ready to leave to go to Georgia.
Okay. And when you say you got ready, did you come back to your home?
Yes.
And when you came back to your home, did you begin to...
I packed a bag.
Okay. And at some time after that, did you, when you returned after getting the oil change and began packing your bag, was Tanya and Bo at the home?
No.
Sometime after you had returned, did they come to the home?
Yes.
And how long after?
Probably about 2 hours, maybe.
Okay. So at approximately what time did you see them back at your home?
Probably about 7 or 8 o'clock.
Now, when they returned back to the home, did you have further conversation with them?
Just the fact that we were getting ready to leave.
Okay. And when they returned back to the home, did you see that, that Tanya had something with her?
They had put their bags into my car.
Okay. But at some point, did you see Tanya give something to Bo?
Yes.
And what was that?
It was a telephone.
I'm sorry?
A telephone.
Okay. And just describe...
A cell phone.
A cell phone. And describe what was the condition of the cell
It
phone?
was brand new.
When you say brand new, was
In
it...
the box.
Okay. And when you saw her give that brand new cell phone in the box to Bo, did you see what he did with it?
He gave it to my niece to activate.
Okay, and your niece, how old was she at that time?
I don't know, 14, probably 14.
Now, prior to seeing Tanya give Bo a new cell phone in the box, did you know Bo to have a phone before that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what happened to that phone?
No, I don't.
So how long did it take your niece to activate the phone?
It didn't take her long, but I think probably about an hour after, by the time it charged up or whatever.
Okay. So did you see her actually do something to charge the phone?
She plugged it in. She did,
Okay. And then sometime after that, do you know if the phone was activated?
It was activated.
Okay. And then as a result of now the phone being activated, what did you do?
And we didn't do it. We just got ready to leave.
Okay. When you say we got ready to leave, who was we?
Tanya, Bo, and myself.
Now, I think you'd indicated earlier certain items were then placed in your car.
Yes.
And just describe those items. Who had items?
Tanya had a bag, and Bo had a bag.
Okay. Describe Bo's bag, if you would.
He had a garbage bag.
Okay. When you say
a black garbage bag, like, you put leaves or some trash in, and he had clothes in it. As far as I know, it was clothes.
Okay. So as a result, did that black trash bag with clothes in it get placed in your car?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
In the trunk.
And at some point after the bags were all packed and the phone's been charged, what did you do?
We left.
Okay. And approximately what time did you leave, ma'am?
I don't know, probably between 8 and 9 o'clock.
Okay. And tell us about when you say you left, how did you travel?
In my car.
Okay. In terms of the routes.
We went up Farmington Avenue to, I guess, Route 8, and we went the back roads. I'm not exactly sure what the route was, but it was the back roads
Okay.
through New York.
And what caused you to go the back roads?
Well, Bo said it was.
Sustained.
It was.
Well, just let me ask you this way. Did Bo say something to you, yes or no?
Yes.
And as a result of that, did you then follow a particular
Yes.
route of travel?
Yes.
What did he say to you?
He said that it was easier.
Objection is sustained.
Okay. So tell us about the back roads that you took now.
There was the back roads. It was easier. He said it was easier.
Without getting into what he said.
Okay.
Okay.
There were no tolls.
Okay. And the back roads now, that how ultimately did you take the back roads through Connecticut?
We were on the highway.
Okay. At what point did you get on the highway?
Up Farmington Avenue, up Route 6 to 8.
Okay. And from there, what highways or roads did you travel?
I'm not exactly sure of the route, but it was the back road to New York,
Okay. Now, at some point, what direction were you traveling?
south.
And how long did you travel?
Hours, I don't,
Okay. Well, you indicated you left sometime in the evening hours on the 21st.
Right.
And did you continue to travel, or did you stop at any time?
Well, I stopped every hour, like every 100 miles. I would stop and top off my gas.
Okay. And when you say you'd stop and top off the gas, who was paying for that?
They were.
Okay. And tell us, during your travel when you began, what, if any, conversation, just yes or no, was there conversation in the car between Tanya and Bo?
Yes.
Okay. And did you, at that time, or when you made stops, did you see them have other conversations?
Yes.
And when they had those other conversations, where would those occur?
Outside the car.
Okay, and how far or near were they to you?
Not close.
I'm sorry?
Not close.
Okay, and when you say not close, how far were they from you?
I don't know, from me to you.
And when they had those conversations, just describe how they were behaving.
They were talking to themselves, amongst themselves.
Were you able to hear anything
No.
of what was being said?
No.
Okay. Now, how long did your trip, did you essentially drive continuously through the night? Mm-hmm. Is that, yes, ma'am?
Yes.
And what time, well, let me ask you this. Did you travel through, are you familiar with Windsor, Connecticut?
In Windsor?
I'm sorry?
Yes.
And is that just in relation to Bristol, how close or near is that?
That's on the other side. I didn't go that way.
Okay. And with regard to Roanoke, Virginia, did you travel through Roanoke?
Yes.
And do you recall the routes that you were taking as you traveled south?
I just, number 81 stuck out because they had mentioned 81 was in reference to Aaron's number.
Okay. And do you recall at some point traveling through Charlotte?
Yes.
Okay. And then ultimately, did something happen, just approximately how long, if you remember, did it take you to travel from when you left Bristol, Connecticut to get to Roanoke, Virginia?
That was probably about 7 hours.
Okay. And then later to Charlotte, how long was that?
Probably another 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours.
And then after you had gone through Charlotte or near Charlotte, how far did you travel after that?
My car died in North Carolina. I'm not exactly sure, but it was like in the afternoon. So we had traveled, we had left at 9 o'clock that evening, and probably about 2 or 3 o'clock the next afternoon is when my car, or might have been earlier than that, but that's when we were in North Carolina with my car stuck.
Okay. When you say your car was stuck, how long was it stuck for?
4 hours. Well, my car was there for probably a week and a half.
Okay. So as a result of your car breaking down and being stuck, did you make other arrangements to continue your travel?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do?
My daughter came and picked us up.
Okay. How far were you from your daughter's home when your car had broken down?
About 8 hours.
And
She was
after-
in Georgia.
Okay. And what town in Georgia?
She was in Roberta, Georgia.
Okay. And are you familiar with Macon, Georgia?
Yes.
How close is Macon to Roberta?
Macon is about 20 miles from Roberta.
Okay. Now, after she came, did she come and collect you or meet you that day?
Yeah,
That evening?
Yes.
And when she did that, did she pick up all three of you?
Yes.
And as a result of that, where did you go?
We went to her house.
Okay. When you
in
say
Roberta.
we, who is now at
Bo
her?
and Tanya and I.
Okay. And how long did you stay at her house?
I was there for a week or better.
Okay. And what about Tanya and Bo?
They spent the night.
And then where did they go?
Bo went on to Florida, and Tanya came back to Connecticut.
And how did they travel from Georgia now to Florida or back to Connecticut?
Bus.
Okay. Now, was there, had you made an arrangement or plan in terms of how you were going to travel back?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and who is going to assist you in the travel back?
Tanya was.
Okay. Did that change?
Yes, it did.
And you indicated she remained there for how long?
Well, a day. She spent the night.
Okay. And and then the following day is when she departed.
Yes.
Okay. Did you see, after the occasion that, after that night and Bo and Tanya had left, did you see Bo again?
After, excuse me?
Yes, when you were in Roberta, I think you indicated they spent one night.
Yes.
And then after that, had you seen him beyond that time?
No, no.
If I could have one moment, Your Honor, please. And ma'am, during the course of travel, that phone that had now been activated back at your home in Bristol. Did you see that being used?
Yes.
And who was using it?
Bo.
Okay, one moment.
Morning.
Morning.
You mentioned Route 81. Is that Interstate Highway 81?
It was, well, we were in Virginia, I believe we were in Virginia, and it was 81. I'm not sure, it's this route.
You've driven back and forth from Connecticut to Georgia
Yes.
a number of times?
Yes.
Because that's where your daughter and grandchildren live?
That's correct.
And are you familiar with a major highway, Interstate 81, that you can, if you're coming from Connecticut, you can pick it up in Pennsylvania and go through Maryland and West Virginia and North Carolina, and then cut into...
Well, I never had traveled that way.
But this was the road that you were taking?
Yes, sir.
This highway?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? Okay. Now, you said that there were times in the car when Tanya and Bo were, when they were gassing up the car, when Tanya and Bo would be talking quietly?
Yes.
Kind of out of your earshot?
Yes.
Was that unusual for the two of them to kind of have quiet conversations that didn't include you?
I mean, I really don't know because I really wasn't around them too that often.
But do you remember that on the occasions that you were with them, that it wasn't unusual for them to carry on a conversation that didn't include you?
I'm not really sure. I mean, we have talked together,
Okay.
So, I mean, wasn't, I don't know, they were more quiet, okay?
Quieter?
Yes.
But you had seen them carrying on private conversations with
Yes.
you? Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, did it strike you as unusual, the manner in which they were speaking at a distance at the gas stops?
Kind of, yes.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Nothing further.
You may step down.
Thank you.
My next witness, I'd call Trooper Eric Perez, please.
Eric Perez. Right this way, sir. Please follow me. Please face the clerk and raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat, sir.
Thank you. Morning, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. State your full name, please.
It's Eric Perez.
Can you spell your last name?
It's P-E-R-E-Z.
Where do you work, sir?
I work for the Massachusetts State Police.
And how long have you been working for the Massachusetts State Police?
8 years.
How are you currently assigned?
Currently assigned to the Bristol County District Attorney's Office.
Is that part of the detective unit?
Yes, sir.
And what types of cases are you involved in?
Homicide cases, unattended deaths, anything of that nature, and goes along down the line. Kinds of investigations.
Now, sir, at some point, taking you back to June 17th of 2013, did you become involved in an investigation into the death of Odin Lloyd?
Yes, sir.
And did you, as a result of that, were you assigned to different tasks in the next number of months?
I was.
Now, do you recall actually responding to the scene?
I did, yes, sir.
And later, were you involved in any other searches?
I was.
And just tell us about those other searches. Do you recall one being on the following day or two, the 18th or 19th, in the area of the crime scene?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and just describe that day.
That particular day, I was actually called to Landry Avenue prior to John Deach Boulevard. I was notified by Lieutenant Mike King.
Well, it's,
Okay.
you haven't been asked what anyone said to you.
Just at some point, there was a contact,
Yes,
and as a result of that, did you go to an area of Landry Avenue?
I did, sir.
Okay. And was there, when you arrived there, was there some form of search being conducted?
There was.
And just describe that.
There were members of the Cert team searching the wooded area on Landry Ave, looking for firearms or any kind of evidence in that area, walking.
Now, at some point, was an item located,
Yes, sir.
and did you respond to that area?
I did.
And was that area marked in some fashion?
It was.
And did you take some action to secure that location?
I did. I stood by on the sidewalk. The area was marked. The members of the Cert team continued on their search. I stayed in that area and awaited the arrival of the ballistics and crime scene services.
And ultimately, was there a firearm that was recovered from that area?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall who recovered that?
That would be Trooper Conroy with ballistics.
Now, were you involved in a later search along stretches of road on Route 95?
128, yes.
Oh, 128. And the purpose of the search, do you recall looking for an item, a mirror?
Yes, sir. We're looking for parts of a gray mirror from a Nissan
And
Altima.
were other members, either of the state police or police departments, involved in that search?
Yes, sir, several.
Okay. And was a mirror or parts of a mirror ever recovered?
There were parts recovered. I don't know what they end up being to. I have no idea.
Are you aware of any
Pieces of
mirror
debris.
that was ever recovered that was connected to a silver Altima?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, at some point, were you also involved in, did you go to Bristol, Connecticut?
I did.
And were you involved in a search of a location down there known as 114 Lake Avenue?
I was, sir.
And were there certain items that you were looking for?
Yes, sir. Clothing, mostly.
Okay. And was one of the items a blue plaid shirt?
Yes, sir.
I got mine right. I could just approach your line. So I'm just going to show you that item in terms of the clothing. Do you, were you able to recover an article of clothing, blue plaid, similar to this item at 114 Lake Avenue?
No, sir.
What about in this photograph depicting red shoes? Were you able to recover those?
No, sir.
Now, sir, at some point while you were in Connecticut, were you also involved in the recovery of a vehicle?
I was.
And just describe what kind of vehicle was recovered?
It was a Chrysler 300.
Okay. And where was that recovered?
It was recovered at the Huntington Woods apartment complex,
Okay. And what town is that in, sir?
Bristol, Connecticut.
And as a result of that being recovered, what action was taken with regard to the...
At that point, the vehicle was towed from the scene by the request of Bristol PD using one of their affiliated tow trucks. It was secured at the Bristol Police Department and then later returned to Massachusetts, where it was secured at the crime lab.
Your Honor, if I could just use the overhang. I'm just going to put the 129. You recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
I do, sir.
And what is that?
That'd be the Chrysler 300 in question.
And you said this was found at Huntington Woods?
Correct.
Just describe what type of complex that is.
It's just a large apartment complex. It's, any other way to describe it?
Okay. And where was it located at that time?
I was located in a back parking lot, back in a corner of a back parking lot.
Just going to show you now it's been marked 129B. You recognize this vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And what vehicle is this?
That'd be the Chrysler 300.
Were there any placards or tags on the car when you first observed it?
I believe there was a placard on it. It had been parked illegally.
I'm just going to show you what's been marked as 129C. You recognize that item on the window.
Yes, sir.
Was that in that condition when you first observed the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And 129D, is that just a close-up?
Yes, sir.
Does that indicate that the Huntington Woods, as well as certain information about it being not validly parking with permit?
Correct.
I have nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you, sir.
Morning, Trooper. Did you also attend a search of a pond in Bristol, Connecticut?
Yes, sir.
And would I be correct in understanding that you and other officers from that were investigating the Lloyd homicide requested that the Connecticut State Police conduct a search of a pond known as Pine Pond or Malone's Pond?
Yes, sir.
And you were there for some or all of that search?
Some, yes, sir.
And the search involves dividing the pond up into segments, is that fair?
I couldn't tell you for certain how it's done, sir.
Did you see them on the first day that they were there?
I did, yes, sir.
And there were a half dozen divers or so?
Approximately, yes, sir.
And some other officers supporting it?
Yes, sir.
And did you see that they had a plan to do a grid-like search of the pond?
I didn't see any plans, sir.
Okay. Did you see them with metal detectors?
Yes, sir.
Underwater metal detectors?
Yes, sir.
And that pond was searched for a weapon, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Murder weapon, correct?
I object.
Any weapon, I guess.
Well, I mean, you and Trooper Donovan were the representatives of the Massachusetts State Police there.
Yes.
And you interacted with the supervisors of the dive team, correct?
Correct.
And you told them that you were looking for a .45 Glock handgun, right?
I did not tell them that, no, sir.
Did you hear that being discussed?
Objection. Sustained.
And that lake was searched by those half dozen or so divers for 2 full weeks, is that right?
About that, yes, sir.
And then on an 11th day, they searched a couple of smaller ponds across Pine Street, is that right?
Just one other, yes, sir.
Okay. And no firearm was recovered, is that right?
Correct, no, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, is it fair to say in the course investigation, people call in and make suggestions or give information about areas to be searched?
Yes, sir.
And sometimes then those areas are searched?
Correct.
Do you know what the veracity of the information was that led to the search of that pond?
I do not, sir.
Okay, nothing further.
Did you get such a call
Such a call as?
saying go search Malone's Pond?
I was told it was going to be searched and that I needed to be there.
You were told by the people in charge of the investigation that that's what the plan was?
By one of my supervisors, yes, sir.
Okay. Who was that?
I believe it was Lieutenant Mike King,
Okay, and he's the head of the detective unit in the Bristol County DA's office.
one of them. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Please follow me.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yvonne Baer, please.
Please follow me. Face the clerk and raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Proceed.
May I inquire? Good morning, ma'am. Could you please state your name for the record?
Yvonne A. Bear.
And is that Yvonne, Y-V-O-N-N-E?
That's correct.
And how do you spell your last name?
B-E-A-R.
And what do you do for a living, ma'am?
I work at a bank, Webster Bank,
And where is Webster Bank located?
436 Slater Road, New Britain, Connecticut, 06053.
And generally speaking, where are the branches of Webster Bank? What coverage area do they have?
Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and some part of New York.
And what do you do for Webster Bank?
I am the Senior Coordinator of Service of Process.
And what does that mean?
I handle all the legal documents that come into the facility. I am the record keeper of Webster Bank.
Keep your voice up a little bit.
Sorry.
What did you say with regards to being a keeper?
I am the record keeper for Webster Bank.
And what does that mean?
I handle all the legal documents that come in, and I also handle the process of the production of records.
And with regards to this particular case, did your bank receive a subpoena to supply certain records?
That's correct.
And
Yes.
were you the person who was responsible for processing that?
That's correct. Yes.
May I approach you? Ma'am, I'll show you this package of documents and ask if you recognize what those are.
That is my cover letter with my signature. That is the certificate of authenticity signed by me. That is the records that I have provided. And that is the subpoena that I received.
Okay. With regards to the particular records that you referenced, how many pages within the packet is the actual record?
One.
And ma'am, with regards to that particular record, is that record kept in good faith by your company?
Yes.
Are the entries made in the regular course of the business of Webster Bank?
Yes.
And was the entry recorded before the action in this particular case began?
Yes.
And are they made in the usual course of the bank on the particular date of the record, made contemporaneous with that particular transaction?
Yes.
Move to enter the records, Your Honor.
Maybe enter this next exhibit.
overhead drawing? Ma'am, you see that particular document on the screen? For the
Yes.
record, this is Exhibit 391.
Yes,
At that size, can you read it?
yes.
Okay, what are we looking at here, ma'am?
That's the ATM transaction report.
Pursuant to the subpoena, were you asked to produce the records of that particular ATM transaction?
Yes,
What is the date of the ATM transaction?
6/18.
And how do you know that?
It states right on the report, on the
Could you point to
document.
where that exactly is?
Right here. Yes.
Finger in the middle area now?
Mhm.
And what time was the transaction?
0048.
What time of the day is that in regular time?
That's after midnight.
So just before 1 o'clock, 12 minutes before 1 o'clock in the morning on the 18th?
That's correct.
Where was the location of this particular transaction?
The terminal address is 2300 New London Turnpike in East Greenwich, Rhode Island.
Terminal address, what does that mean?
That's where the ATM is located.
And is that a term for an ATM terminal?
That's correct.
Excuse me. Can you tell the number of the card that was used at the ATM from this record?
Yes,
Okay, where is that located?
right here.
This number beginning 44?
That's correct.
So ma'am, the number of the card used at that ATM at that time was 442961103215571.
That is correct.
Underneath there is VDPS. What does that mean?
Visa Debit Processing Service.
Can you tell from this record whether or not this was an sort of in-house Webster Bank transaction or something from somewhere else?
This is a non-Webster Bank credit card.
How can you tell that?
There is a fee of $2.95, and that fee is for foreign transactions, which foreign meaning it's not an ATM, not a Webster Bank ATM card.
Just shows where in the record you see that.
If you move it just a little bit, it would say $2.95 credit.
Right here.
That's correct.
What type of a transaction was this?
This was an ATM cash withdrawal,
In the amount of how much?
$500.
And how do you know that from the record?
Because of the transaction was $502.95. The credit, which is a fee, $2.95. Therefore, the transaction was for $500 cash withdrawal.
Just have a moment, Your Honor.
Right.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Just quickly. I think it might be helpful.
been advised there are no more witnesses today, so we're going to stop early. Today you have a long weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Please keep your mind suspended. Don't talk about this case or Mr. Hernandez with anyone by any means. And if anyone starts talking to you or in any way communicating with you, please end it immediately. Please continue to avoid anything about this case or Mr. Hernandez that could appear in a newspaper or radio or television or magazine or any other form of media or any social media, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere else. Please do not do any research about the case or Mr. Hernandez or anything that you think could be relevant to the case. Now the bus won't be here because we just discovered that we're stopping early, so you may have a few minutes in the jury room while we arrange to get the bus over here. Have a good weekend. Thank you very much.
He. All persons having anything further to do before the Honorable, the Justice E. Susan Gosh of the Superior Court, now sitting at Fall River within and for the Commonwealth, depart and give your attendance here Monday morning at 9 a.m., to which time and place the sitting of this court is now adjourned. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Court is now adjourned.